Starting next year, phone calls involving inmates in state prisons will be monitored by artificial intelligence technology. Ohio's new budget appropriated $1 million for the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections to buy AI software that will transcribe and analyze the inmate phone calls. The data will go out to law enforcement agencies, but some critics say that it's an invasion of privacy and could even affect the attorney-client privilege. 21 News at 5, legal expert Brian Kopp is back to break down the legal argument on this. Brian, currently the state policy allows for state employees to monitor calls from prisoners, but how do you think adding AI tech could change the intention of that policy?
Well, just like everything else, there's limitations. I mean, normally when lawyers are talking to clients in facilities, those are privileged calls. The attorney-client privilege is very important. So you're seeing, if you look at this, I believe New York and California have had lawsuits for violations of recordings of attorney-client privilege issues. That being said, I think that you could see some anticipatory litigation, meaning I would suspect that you may see some attempts for injunctions on this, although it has to play itself out.
A lot of people, when we're talking about AI all the time, and I think people have a lot of concerns about it. Signal is reporting the information collected by AI would be available to support criminal investigations, and then the data would be accessible to all law enforcement in the state. So could that potentially jeopardize a case if all of the law enforcement agencies are looking at that phone call a little closely or more often than normal?
Well, remember, in prison facilities, you don't have the privacy you have in your home. So I want to start with privacy, and the things that are subject to recording differ based upon the environment you're in. I think that when you look at it, at least what I've seen, jail calls are always monitored and recorded. We talk to clients all the time about communications through phones in prisons and jails because they're recorded. Now, if they're going to record things like calls with lawyers or other potential privilege scenarios, which is very difficult to imagine outside of the attorney-client privilege, then I think you've crossed the line between what's acceptable and what's unacceptable.
And do you see any benefits of AI monitoring conversations? Prosecutors probably say, oh yeah, lots of advantage here for us to dig up more on our case, but what would be a different advantage?
Well, if you look at it, some of the reasons they're giving is they're trying to stop the flow of illegal drugs into the prisons, exchange of things that could be dangerous to guards, planning of other crimes. So there are a lot of good reasons to record jail calls. And people don't necessarily think about that when they look at privacy. But from a law enforcement standpoint, the people that are incarcerated or being held, they should know that they don't have the same expectation of privacy. And if they want to talk about criminal activity, and it's monitored. I can't tell you how many cases I hear about in the courtroom where people are recorded talking about criminal intent, talking about crimes that were committed. And those things are helpful to law enforcement and, quite frankly, can be helpful in protecting those of us in the community.
And what kind of stipulations should be put in place for this policy? Let's say the state's looking at rewriting its policy or making sure it's a sound policy.
Well, the identification of the purpose of the call or who it's to, and especially like yesterday, I received a call from an individual that was arrested. And the first thing I said was, you're talking to me from a jail phone. You understand it could be recorded. I was not sure if that facility had things in place that would realize or be able to verify that I was this gentleman's lawyer. So you can't talk about those things. Now, when you get into certain facilities where people have a more permanent situation or a more extended situation, I should say, there's usually a way for lawyers to communicate with their clients. Beyond that, I mean, there's not a whole lot of reason to protect calls.
All right, Brian, great to have you back with us as always. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, sorry for some of the technical difficulties.
You're fine.
I'm on the road
it's always great to have you right here at 5. Good to see you.